Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Device Diaries. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for you guys because today we have a very special guest. But before I introduce her, I want to tell you guys what we're going to talk about today. So today is episode 32 of the Device Diaries, and I titled this episode Power in Partnership Unlocking the True Potential of Collaboration. All right, for those of you guys, I've seen all the downloads, the loves. We appreciate you. I have a co-host. Hey, Lori.
Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, she's been stimulating my brain. Her and I have a really good dynamic energy and synergy, and that's really important. The partnership. Hello, I just dropped the partnership term again. So without further ado, let's talk about our guests. My guest today is Becky Wolfe. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Guida. Thank you, Lori. I am super excited to be on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you start us by telling us who Becky Wolfe is?
Yeah. So I am a leadership consultant. I partner with an organization. So partnership definitely, and one of my passions, something I absolutely love, with a larger entity or organization called Giant. And our goal is to create healthy cultures all over the world. So every city and sector, that's our motto. Um, I started in medicine, so healthcare is the area I feel most passionate about. I practiced for about 13 years as a PA, so a physician assistant, and mostly cardiology. Got started into health coaching, and that's how I found my actual passion and love for coaching individuals to higher potentials. From there, found executive coaching, and that's how I bridged the gap into doing what I'm doing now.
That is fascinating. So, I have to ask you first and foremost, what is your definition of health in a culture?
That's so good. That's a really great question. So we have some benchmarks that we use when we go into work with organizations. So we're tracking things like communication. We actually measure things like trust, how aligned people are with the organization. We're also looking at execution, are things getting done, and then capacity. So we have a team performance measure that we're looking at in all of those areas. And the component within business that's the hardest is people, because people are all over the place, right? There is no standardization. Everybody has their own influence, and I think it makes it beautiful, but it can make the dynamic really hard too. Um, so we measure that when we go into organizations because we want some type of metric to look and see where the benchmark is for the culture and where we're going with it.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, that's so great. Such great questions. So, Becky, can you walk us through when you were in the healthcare industry? I kind of want to know your story. How was that for you, and what made you say Becky's not gonna do it anymore? She's going to transition into coaching.
That's a great question. It's interesting. I've loved every job that I've had. So I started in the ER initially, worked there for just a couple of years, knew I wanted to go into cardiology. I loved the heart when I did a rotation in college, and had the opportunity to practice alongside 7 different amazing cardiologists. Learned a ton from them. And I think the first sign for me that I wanted to get out was that practice actually no longer existed. They dispersed, which was a huge deal for all of us there. They just decided they didn't want to partner anymore. They just wanted out. So they went their separate ways, which a lot of us lost our jobs, including me. That was my first sign that healthcare wasn't as safe as I thought it was. Honestly, getting laid off that first time. Um, so then I worked in urgent care, worked for a university, and I enjoyed it. Loved the patients that I got to see, but still felt the itch to really go back to coaching. One of the most meaningful or impactful times I had was when I was working with a group of patients after hours and saw patients get off medications, lose weight. And one of my patients came in to see his cardiologist and said, "Hey, Becky's been helping me. She's actually listening to me." And I was like, "Okay,
That's so
this
cool.
is it." Yeah. So
I I love that. And there's nothing more empowering. There's nothing more, I mean, there's nothing better than helping people, right? And I always tell that to people because everything that I do, and Lori does the same thing too, is I'm always making sure my customers taken care of. And any decisions that I do, I put them first because you kind of have to, right? It is part of the gig. If you don't care about the people that you're supposedly helping, you're a cheater, you're a liar, you shouldn't be in sales, or maybe in a different type of sales, right? Period. So I always stress this to everybody. Please take notes. Please write this down, you guys. I know we're talking about partnership, but when it comes to partnership, guess what? We're talking, we can, this is not just your work life, it could be your personal life, learning how to work with people. Laura and I, Becky, talked about emotional intelligence and always be closing in our last episode, which did really well, by the way. Thank you all for the downloads. You guys are awesome. I love it. And I know you guys are going to love this episode. So, Lori, ask her more questions.
Oh, the list that I have right now, Becky, is endless. Because culture is such an important caveat to any business, and truly, people are what are the sticky part of it, right? Where you're dealing with a lot of personalities, and you want everyone to be a cohesive team. You need those different personalities. What I'm curious about, and one thing that you just said that I think salespeople have a really hard time with, but it's the key to being successful, is listening. Your patient said, Becky's been listening to me and actually been helping. So what are your main, do you have like a list of questions when you're in a discovery call with one of your patients or one of your people that you are coaching on a client basis? What are the questions that you ask so that you can get to learn your audience better?
Yeah, I love that question, Guida. I love that too, because clients are our partners. That's the goal for when I start working with somebody. I want to partner with them. I want to know like what's going on. And so when I made this shift from health coaching to leadership, so now I'm working with usually decision makers who are like, we need our practice to change, or we need our organization to change. We need healthy leaders because we need a pipeline of people that are going to develop it, and so we can expand and grow. So the first question I ask is, hey, how can I help you? Like, what might that look like? What challenges do you have? What goals do you have for the company? Just leave it really broad and open, because I may not be able to help them. And that's the first just open general question. And then I just try to drill down, like, tell me about your organization. So how many people are there? As you think about what you are looking toward, what does that look like? What does health actually mean in your organization? What does healthy culture feel like or look like to you? So just like a couple of broad questions so I can get a sense of where they're at and what they want. So usually challenges are what I can discover pretty quickly. And then it's like, okay, so how do we pivot and tell me what you need? Like, what do you want? And, a year from now, like, what's your magic wand scenario? If we wave that magic wand, where are we going?
Yeah, I love that answer, Becky, because it is true. Every time, any sales training that you go to, if I can wave that magic wand, what do you want? What are your, I'm a genie right now. I give 3 wishes. I'm cool. You get 3 and you get it all. So pick wisely. What is it that you want? Right. So I think I love how you worded it. And I love all the questions. I wrote it down. You guys, if you guys didn't take notes, please, 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 come on. It's free content. Make sure you wrote that down. If you're not writing it down, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Okay. I honestly don't. We talked about, a lot of times you can't teach old dog new tricks, but unfortunately, the world is changing, technology is changing, and you kind of have to know tricks, right? Let's talk about that, Becky, for a second. Let's talk about tricks. And are there any tricks, like party tricks, that you do to get, a client interested or to get that next meeting? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I think the thing I missed in sales initially was my posture coming into it, of like, I have to be really cautious about my energy coming into a sales conversation. And I wasn't used to doing sales prior to having my own business. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. So it really was, I'm like, okay, I have to get my mindset in a space of really active listening and being like drawing out more than talking. So Laura, I love that you brought that up. It quite literally is like, how much can you listen, not talk? There will be space towards the end where you get to present what you have, but at the beginning, it's really about what does this person need from me, and can I give that to them? Am I the right resource, and be okay with saying I'm not? So I think for me, what I've learned, so tips and tricks to get like a next call are, be really patient. Just like my process is, ask the questions. Next is present a little bit about what I do, and then just ask if this seems to be a fit. If it's a fit, then I'm like, okay, here's the next part of the process. And if this is a fit, I just keep asking, keep qualifying, like, hey, is this right for you, or does this not seem like it's right? And if it's not, that's okay. So take the pressure off. In every situation where I'm coaching somebody, where I am doing a sales call, like, just take the pressure off. Like, nobody needs to, walk away from it feeling like there's like pressured into a situation where they have to buy, because that's never like a fun thing for me to walk into.
That would be really hard when you're because you do have an energy of really wanting to help people. And usually people who want to help people have a hard time saying no. So
Yep.
is there any circumstance that you can reflect back on of when you were in that discovery call and knowing this is not my client? And how do you, because we're all, I think in sales, in medical, for sure, time is a luxury, right? And we have to really hone in on how we spend our time, because that's where our energy goes, and we want to help people. So at what point in a discovery call have you ever experienced where you're like, I'm not your gal. I'm not your coach.
Good one.
And how you pivoted away from, like, because we all want to help people. We do, and we can see where their gaps are, and we can see, like, but if you would listen to me.
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. I think what has helped me is understanding what my values are too. And it's different with medical sales, I think, because there is like a passion to help, and it may be a little bit different than mine. I think mine is I can follow up with people a lot.
Sure.
So, and just seeing if the timing becomes right. I think with medical sales, like I said, I think is a little bit different. So for me, what I do is like I have like value statements of who I want to serve, why I want to serve them,
Oh, I
kind of
love
go in
that.
and I show them why we're aligned. Or like if I see that we're not clearly aligned, then I'll just kind of come out of the situation and just be like, I don't think that we're a right fit. And I'll sometimes say, I want to process through the conversation that we just had. And see if there's anything I can clearly offer. If not, then I'm going to just send you an email and say, like, or send you somebody else, another resource.
That's great.
But yeah, I think it's just like clearly identifying, like, you need some time to think it through.
That's awesome. So what is your statement that you are, that is your foundation? I like that.
Yeah. So for me, I think being an introvert, I think I've had to really push myself. So my statement is like, the universe, like, put me in situations where I'll be uncomfortable.
Mm.
And that has grown every year for me. And I've seen places where I have, and it's like, okay, the next place, space where I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to feel it. And I do, I feel the tension all the time. So that's where I know I'm actually in the right area where I feel just a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, I love
so
that.
cool.
That is so cool, Becky. That's so cool because I do the same thing. Okay, like, and unfortunately, sales is it's a different ball game. All right, if you want to play with the top, you gotta go towards sales. I'm just saying, it is the truth. But you gotta have a certain type of personality to be in sales. It's not for everyone, right? And like what Becky says, this is my statement. I have 20 statements every morning. You're good enough, you're loved, you're worthy. I mean, I have it written all over my walls as a reminder. As almost in my car, I have a post-it note of saying, "You got this, girl. You've done this before. You got this," right? And I would read it 3 times before I go into accounts. So if you guys, again, like, I don't like the phrase "faking it till you make it," because we all make it. All right, we all make it. And there's no such thing as faking, because it's you. Like, there's only one you. So believing in yourself that you are capable and you're worthy of what you're doing right now. And yes, we're all gonna have bad days. Trust me. I may be good in sales, but I suck at expense reports. I suck at printing reports. I'm just gonna be honest. I get in trouble all the time. God, you haven't submit your expense report in 3 months. Seriously? I'm like, I know, but you can't. I know, I get yelled at. Do you understand how to print reports? I'm like, no. How did you get that number? I'm like, 1 + 1 = 2. where did you get that number? So it's like it's interesting how the dynamic, right? So I think
Yeah.
like no really knowing who you are, you're unique, and accepting it and just doing the best you can and holding yourself accountable, and going back to Becky's statement of like the whatever the universe gives you, you're worthy of it, like that's it, and really priming yourself.
Yeah.
Salespeople, if you don't have a way to prime yourself every morning, oh, your psychiatrist is gonna make a lot of money. Let me just say it. All right. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that. Is there anything that you do, Becky, other than telling that universe, working out? How do you prime? How do you distress? What do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. The other thing that's helped me with sales and just about anything in business is I recognize everything is just about reps. It's just like going in and doing it again. Even communication with people. If I'm missing the boat with somebody, I'm like, okay, I just have to have another conversation and get curious. Like that's my statement of like just get curious about people. They
Mhm.
just, allow them to kind of speak, get to know them even more. And that's really, really helped me. I think the other thing, so collaboration. So who are the people that I can like bounce ideas off of? Who are my people that are going to build me up when I feel like I don't want to do this anymore? Because there are days that I have that are like that too, of like, I don't think I can do this anymore, or it's really hard. And I have my people that I call, I text, I'm like, hey, just tell me who I am because I am struggling right now. And
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Love.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's so important, and sales is so hard. It is such a challenge. So being, having a resource at all is so helpful. And the
Definitely.
information you provide is incredibly important.
I love that you said you like to be put in, well, you don't like, but maybe you want to be pushed into positions that make you uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Tell me about a time or tell me some time where you can see, holy cow, I have grown so much
Yeah.
because I was willing to put myself in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah. I mean, I can name probably a dozen of those.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
tell
your
you.
resume, right?
Yes. So the first time, so one of my very first contracts that I was involved in, I actually partnered with somebody else, and he challenged me to be like the person that would do all of the workshops because I hated public speaking. And it was actually virtual. It was like right after COVID, so we were virtual, and this company is all over the US anyway. But he challenged me to be like the lead person on this, and I'm like, "Are you sure you want me? I don't know if I can do this." And he's like, "Yep, I want you." I'm like, "Okay." So we would record every session, and then he would do a follow up with me. He's like, "I want you to record the session." He's like, "I want you to come out of it and watch yourself and how you presented." I'm like, "Okay." Did that, and I was like, "You could have told me how freaking awful I was. Like that was terrible." I'm like, "I had zero energy. Like, come on, man." And he just started laughing. He's like, "I want you to see like where you can improve. I want you to tell me where your opportunities of growth are because you will see it and you will act more efficiently." And he
Mhm.
was right. I mean, I have grown significantly in that area. I love giving keynotes now. Never used to, but I am very comfortable on stage at this point. So
That is great. Did he know about that vision or that mantra that you put for yourself of putting
he
yourself into uncomfortable positions?
no, he had no idea. So he was just
That's
like, "Great,
so
you."
awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, that is such a great story, and I'm glad that you shared that because I can tell you how many moments I'm like, gotta, I'm pissing my pants, but I'm trying to keep it together. Literally, like I'm like shaking. I'm like, act normal. Don't stare too much. Don't say anything stupid. So and it's really crazy, and I love that story, Becky, because all of the things that scares me the most
Mhm,
are the ones that I'm doing now. I
mhm,
didn't like to record myself on videos. I hate watching myself, listening to myself talk. I listen to my ums, my ifs, my breaks,
mhm,
my hand gestures like this, all crazy. I would watch that and study it, right? And this is
mhm,
the things that I hated the most. And I remember I was like, Guida, you're in sales. You kind of have to be good in public speaking
mhm,
because you're gonna have to be able to present your product. Scared, I'm shaking like a leaf. In my very first presentation, the very first deal I tried to close, I didn't close because I was
mhm,
so worried about the features and the benefits of the product. I
mhm,
even did a PowerPoint presentation, and then he asked me a question I didn't know the answer to. Lost the sale. All right.
mhm,
But it didn't stop me because then I know now at that moment what not to do. So I learned something. It's all about growth, right? So let's talk about that for a second. Can you walk us through the very first day you public speak? How's that for you?
Oh my gosh. So last year, again, being my trend of make me uncomfortable, I had somebody reach out to me like, hey, you need to sign up for this. And, I'm like, okay, if somebody tells me to sign up for it, I'm going to. And I did. And I had a couple of public speaking engagements. Even last year, I felt a bit shaky, I would say. Got used to doing smaller workshops with clients who I knew really well. So it was comfortable there. But in a setting where I don't know people very well, that was the next area of growth for me. And yeah, that was challenging, but made it through. I love how you said, Gaida, like your first one, you're like, I didn't get the sale. My first one, I'm like, ooh, I don't know how that felt. It didn't feel perfect to me. So I had people give me feedback. I'm like, hey, how did you receive that? And feedback was better than I interpreted it to be. I was like, ooh, nope, not happy with how that went. My second one, which I gave a week later, I felt so much more confident. I'm like, there's some tweaks I made that I just knew mentally I had to do to prepare, and then walked up, changed a few slides. So it made it a little more streamlined for me. So it is about growth. No matter what you're doing, it is all about growth and just being able to pivot when you need to make it better.
So talking about pivoting, I'm curious. So I am a territory manager within Candela Medical, which is a laser device company. And sometimes not everyone's on board with a healthy culture, right? And so I'm curious, can you, as a coach, help me in creating a healthy environment when I may not be in one?
Yeah.
What can I do within my organization, just like a mid-level? How can I control my controllables that maybe would be a ripple effect within my organization to create a more healthy environment?
Yeah. Yep. So what I do with organizations is I'll kind of give you like what I do, and then in the situation, like exactly what you're asking, Lori. So what we do in organizations is we use a system or a process to walk people through. So everybody understands it at the same time. They're walking through it. They have shared language, and what to use and how to interact with people who might be a little bit different than they are. So we do use the personality assessment. I know those are pretty big. A lot of people have already taken them, some format of them. Ours is only 5 personalities because we want it to scale in organizations. We want people to understand it. So one of the largest healthcare organizations that I have locally, they all have it on their computers, like what their personality type is, because they want to make sure people know how to interact with them appropriately and like in the most helpful, productive way. And that where people were having significant problems during COVID, their company was actually expanding. So it's unheard
That's
of.
great.
So yeah. So that's kind of like the back end process that I use. I have a system I walk people through personality assessments. In your situation, I would focus on you.
Yes.
I'd be like, I want you to be as self-aware as you possibly can be. Understand like emotional intelligence. Like, I just want to get a grasp on what that is for you, where you're experiencing struggle, how I might be able to help you communicate more effectively with people who are probably wired differently from you.
No, that's great. That's such a great answer, you guys. And she talked about personality, right? She's talking about personality assessment. Okay, Becky, I have a really weird question, and that is like, what if Gaida has 40 different personalities? I'm just kidding. I just have to throw it out there. I know. So, but yeah, it goes back to, it's a joke. I don't. I have 5, like what Becky said, all of them together at the same time. But if you don't understand personalities, guys, that goes back to emotional intelligence. Okay. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're in sales. If you can't read people, and Becky, like, let's talk about this since you already kind of brought it up a lot of times. Personality assessment, back to emotional intelligence. Not everybody's going to be the same. All right. Having a lot of energy as a salesperson is not always a good thing. And I say this with love because you got to be able to assess personality assessment. Your customers' needs, how they like to be loved, love languages. Let's talk about that for a second, Becky. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So I love that you brought that up. It is really the energy of the room to some extent, like really being able to read people where they're at. And the system that we use, I have a better gauge on it now than I ever used to, because I, again, wasn't a salesperson until I started my own business, but I now have a better understanding of those who are more analytical, those are who are more future focused, those who are more like, they care about people. I'm one of those people. So
Mhm.
I
Right.
care a lot about people. I want, the impact to be huge, but you also have to recognize there's a business behind it, right? Every organization you all are walking into, there's money that's being thrown around and they have to spend it wisely. Um, so it is understanding what matters to people. One of my favorite books, Never Split the Difference, it's something I read recently and I really studied because negotiating with people is so important when you're doing sales and understanding their type of negotiation. So you're really effective knowing who you are and then who the other person is across from you. So
I love that. What do you say about that, Lori? I love that. Because you have your version of color coding your customers.
mhm,
Yes, I do. So I think I really like open transparency whenever I'm dealing with a customer. I like to let them know like what my promotions are up front. I like to let them know like in specifics today, like I have a promotion that I could offer one of my clients today, but I'm not going to put it on the table until I know that they're able to be approved financially for it. Otherwise, I'm putting myself down at the bottom. So my whole strategy in the negotiation is they haven't actually asked me for a different price yet. They just know that they want my laser. And so in my negotiating process, in the back of my mind, I know I would like to have this closed for the end of January. And so my first thought is if I offer the promotion up front, maybe I could get them to sign by the end of the month. However, they haven't communicated that they need a lower price to me. They've communicated that they want the device. And so in my negotiating strategy right here is I'm learning more as a rep for sure not to lean on a promotion to close the sale is I'm walking my prospect down their road of what they're telling me that they want. Now, and at that point, usually if someone wants a better price, we can talk about that after the discovery call. I always in my discovery calls talk about the bottom line because usually that is the main point that they want to get to. Usually people, because of COVID, have done a really good job of doing their own research. That's what I see the difference in a buyer is that they're much more versed in the technology. Now, if they're not, like I can get to that. But I think transparency and negotiation, especially for me, is I just like to know like where are you at first and foremost with the credit application or financing, and then from that point, like I know where I'm going to pivot if I need to get them funding or if they're a cash buyer and why they're buying. It comes down to the listening, right, Becky?
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that process of like, I just really am listening to where they're at in the process and can further delineate what I need to be offering, how I need to be structuring that. That's beautifully said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's good. That's a good story. Thanks, Lori. See, I know I like her for a reason. For those of you guys who are just catching on, Guide as a co-host now. And not only that she's freaking amazing, I love her. She's my best friend. So what better co-host than your own best friends? Because they already kind of know what you're thinking, right? I mean, we go back the power in partnership, unlocking the true potential of collaboration. That's exactly what this is about. All right. Now, Becky, I have a really, really good question for you. Just aiming towards women in general. Okay. I feel like back then when I first started in selling, like we're not just talking about my device, any type of selling this applies to. I feel like there was like almost like, don't talk to me. I'm gonna eat you alive, like it's a competition. I'm not gonna share my thoughts with you. But for some reason, at least in my industry now, you tell me how it is. I want to hear both of you guys' sides on like how is it now? I feel like now there's more collaboration, helping each other, giving each other advice. What do you say about that, Becky?
Yeah, so in my industry, and I think in my organization in particular, we are just so, I think a bit unique in that I've been in situations where people are like, "Hey, if you want me to be on this call with you, I'll do it." Or if you need a resource, just like tell me what you need and I'll give it to you. And I think that's been really special. I think, I agree with you. I haven't been in sales as long as probably either one of you. So I can't speak to the dynamic of what it was even 5 or 10 years ago, but I just know over the past few years, I think I've seen more support and help than I have not,
Yeah.
which has been really great. But I would love to hear your experiences.
Yeah. What about you, Lori?
So I'm a big collaborator all the way around. I believe in that. Even in as sales rep to sales rep, I believe that the more you share best practices, the better we all are, and especially in my industry. So I collaborate on a daily basis with whether it be a skincare rep, whether it be a Galderma rep that's doing injectables, because their eyes and ears are in different areas of my practices. And when we come together and we're collaborating, not just to lift each other up in ourselves and working together, one, it's just so much more fun. It just truly is. But you also can help a practice in whole. And when you go into a practice and they see that there's 3 other reps that have been getting together of, hey, how do we collaborate together to build your practice? They're like, wow, okay, I have a team that's actually working for me outside of my own practice to help my brand grow as well.
Mhm.
And then also through the financial, I meet with my partners that I collab with, like Nate Barnesworth, and I collaborate through his medical their program with US Bank, and he is speaking with doctors and providers for different reasons as well than I am, and then we can collaborate that way. But I think even more so internally with your with the people that you work with on a daily basis. I collaborate with our global educator at least once a week, if not more, because he educated me on my laser physics. He educated me on what makes Candela different. He educated me on why we're better. And it is so, the hardest thing I think is always having the cutting edge in being relevant in this industry. And that's why it takes a village, truly. Because Candela, instead of having multiple reps in one territory, we have one rep, and then we have a surrounding team that buffers us to be. If I walk in and I'm meeting with a decision maker who is a green, to me, that's an analytic person. I'm going to schedule a call right there with Dan. And the cool thing about our collaborators is they are almost like an on-call collaborator, if you will. Like, hey, let me see if I can have Dan join our call. We always do Teams calls so that they're very like almost like they feel like they're in person, so that you can get that human touch in a call as well. And then just hearing Dan when he'll back me up in whatever physics it might be or laser technology that it might be, that's reassurance to a person who needs that extra benefit of analytics as they're going through the decision making process. So I am a true believer in collaboration over the entire scope of sales, from internally to, I mean, how would your home work if you didn't all collaborate? I told my little girl last night, hey, you're 9 now. I'm going to need some help in collaboration with this whole
Let's collab. She's like, yes, mom, whatever you said.
right? But it's true. And usually, like, if you look around at the organizations that are the most successful, it is those that collaborate well.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's a mic drop moment, you guys. If you guys are not taking notes, we just gave you guys tons of nuggets in the past 15 minutes of this video or audio. You guys take notes. It's part of learning. Okay. There's no one size fits all in sales, and going back to the power of collaboration, there's a sometimes what you think works for one account is always going to be working for another account. We're dealing with personalities here, you guys. Everybody's different, and it's your job. It's your job. I'm sorry if you don't do your research. I say do something else. maybe work at a Burger King. I don't know. You gotta do you gotta do your research when it comes to your customers. Avatar. We talk about customer avatar. Okay. Everybody's different. And you respond to them. Okay. One of the powers of persuasion is this. Write this down. Similarity. What does that mean? If people sees them in you, in whatever kind of way, whether it's the way you dress, the way you do your hair or not do your hair, whatever that looks like, and they see that, and it's almost like a match made in heaven. You don't even have to try to persuade them. What do you say about that, Becky? Do you believe in that?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that, yeah, finding similarities quickly when you're talking to someone, it's it changes everything. So finding where you can match their energy or finding where, yeah, their history aligns with yours, something I think is always helpful.
Even like the food that you like to eat. I'm
Mhm.
like, I would ask, what's your favorite food? And then they would tell me. I was like, oh, have you tried this restaurant? Of course they have, right? Because it's
Yeah.
only the best restaurant. There you go. You just landed a
Mhm.
similarity, you know?
Yeah.
And you guys, it's
Yeah.
not that hard. It goes back to asking questions. It goes back
Mhm.
to listening to your customers' needs, understanding your
Mhm.
customer avatar personalities, right?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
all sales 101 stuff that we learn. All right,
Mhm.
Becky. So if you can give someone three advice
Mhm.
on like how to be a better collaborator, what would
Mhm.
that
Yeah. Oh, okay. Ooh, I love this question.
be?
Lori, I want you to answer this too
Okay,
afterwards.
yeah, I
So,
want her to answer it too.
yeah. So, I think my question would be, um, if you want to collaborate with somebody, be specific on what your ask is. So be specific on who it is, why it's that person. Like get clear with yourself first and then get clear about your ask with that person. Um, oh boy, I would say second thing is try to give them something of value too. Like be so humble that you're going to show them something that like, hey, I'm willing to do this for you, or this is something I could offer with the collaboration. Um, third piece of advice, I would say the word consistency comes up for me. So just be consistent with a practice of finding people or showing up in some way for a person that you choose because people are busy. So we have to get in front of them or, just don't say no sometimes if you feel like they're the right person or, keep adding value until you get in front of them. So,
I like that. So for collaboration for myself, when I'm looking for somebody, I always want to level up. So I will
mhm,
always look for a mentor or someone who has, from my perspective, like owned the game or they've mastered the game.
mhm,
I always know like there's not going to be like some secret sauce. It's usually hard work and work ethic behind that. But I also feel like collaborating with somebody who has done it
mhm,
before and ask for accountability. I think it's filling the gaps of where I'm not strong is where I look for a collaboration.
mhm,
And usually like I can get myself doing too many things at
mhm,
once. And where so I need someone, if I'm going to collaborate with somebody, I think that really holds me accountable. And so the more I can collaborate with people, it's holding me accountable. And I know that that's not a strong suit of mine. So I'm filling a gap, is what I'm
mhm,
doing with a collaboration. I always want to help people.
mhm,
That's one of the things where, hey, how can I what are the gaps in your practice or in
mhm,
your the development of your business where I could help or I could have my eyes and ears open so that I can like connect you with somebody in business development. That's where I think like you can be very strategic is when you're a true consultant for somebody, you're
mhm,
sharing like the ideas that you see in other practices, or you can say, hey, I was thinking of you when I was in X, Y, and Z today. I think this might really help you. Whenever
mhm,
you're trying to help somebody, just like you said, Becky, at the very beginning of the podcast, is, hey, how can I best help you?
mhm.
Like that you're offering a hand to somebody to lift them up, right?
Yep.
And so I would say one of the things I will definitely take away from this podcast today is what do I offer? as a
Mhm.
collaborator? Like, what am I doing to help other people? Because I always want to be better at my game.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's,
Oh my gosh, you guys,
yeah.
did you guys not catch that? What can I do better? It's not about you, it's about me now. All right. And I think a lot of people at times, I mean, I say all the time, I see this. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? And I'm like, wait a minute. I said, what's your value prop? I mean, I'm helping you, what can you do for me? So if you guys are not doing that in your business already, it's good to be givers, but you kind of have to have an ask. Always be closing, the ABC of sales. Okay. There's got to be an ask of expectations, and it doesn't have to be monetarily. It could just be value. Value is huge, guys. Value is priceless. All right. This is value. I'm giving you guys free content all the time. Hope that you guys are taking notes and investing in yourself. But there's got to be an ask. There's always an ask. And you just wait for it, and I will ask for it. And I really hope that when I do ask, I really hope that you guys support me on this. Okay. Because this is my baby. And now I have a partner named Lori, and I'm gonna bring on a bunch of wonderful guests like Becky. All right, so Becky, is there a book that you're reading right now you kind of want to share our audience or listeners?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't read a lot of books twice, but this one I have read twice. But it's 10x is easier than 2x. I don't know if you've read that one. It's so good. Yeah, Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy wrote the book. Amazing book. But it is like internally, externally, how to get better. And I love the book. So I would highly recommend.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right, Lori? Is there any book that
Yes.
you're
How have
reading?
you gotten better from 2x to 10x? Now I'm
Oh, yeah, I
intrigued
like that.
because I'm an Audible junkie
That's a good question.
and I love to read. And this one I haven't read. So, why did you read it twice?
Yeah.
So I think it is a book that I will read at least once a year. And I don't think I've ever even thought about a book that I would read once a year. But it is going back and reviewing where you were from the prior year to where you want to be. And so I would say one area that I've gotten better at, so if I'm kind of looking at this past year to this year, I would say I've done a variety of different things to just up level my coaching. And so when I walk into a space and I'm doing one-to-one coaching or if I'm doing group coaching, I feel like I put in so many different practices and systems that I have it to a place where I feel very confident in the outcome I'll get from either a group or a person. So just kind of looking back of like what steps did I take to get there, like actually writing it out, the process of writing it, I could see the gains. So that's been really exciting to see. And the uncomfortable spaces is actually where we grow, and like forcing that. It's almost like a forcing function for me of like, okay, I looked back and saw the areas where I have grown, and this is like the next obvious stage for me. So,
And that just comes to show you that you're like a high functioning individual, because I thrive in the most uncomfortable situations to where I just turn into a robot, and as a female, that's really, really hard because we're such emotional. I'm crying inside, but I'm like, don't cry, guys. No tears today. So I'm like trying really hard. Don't do it. But yeah, you kind of have to, and it's just part of the gig, you guys. It's just part of having the ability to control those emotions. Okay, and that's so great. I'm gonna read that book because I mean I love personal development stuff. And if you guys you don't have to be in sales in any type of jobs. If you're not doing anything to improve yourself, to be a better person, how to handle rejections, all those things, you guys are missing out in your true potential. All right. There's no such thing as waking up one morning being really, really smart. All right. For me, I had to teach myself the things that made me uncomfortable: podcasting, um, talking in front of people, singing in front of people, you name it. All these
Wait,
things.
you are
I,
not
I
uncomfortable
love
singing in
karaoke,
front of
but I'm
people.
uncomfortable. Wait, I take that back. No, but I know I'm Filipino. We love karaoke, but I do get comfortable. That's why I have to take shots of tequila before, because I don't. I feel like I'm like, do I sound great? Like I feel like I sound like Mariah Carey right now. It's confidence, guys. But all, all I'm saying is this, you guys, you have to have a better self-talk. Okay, let's talk about that, Becky. Why do you think that's important?
yeah, I think what we say to ourselves matters just as much about what other people say, like to us that are for us, right? So like in relationships like you and Lori have, it is so important to have those people, but the first relationship we have is with ourselves. So we have to be really cautious on our own self-talk first, because if we don't believe or receive the things that we're good at, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else will think. We have to really believe it first.
I think that takes time though too. Like it's I think when you were saying this, if you were to look at yourself from last year to this year, like what are the differences? What are the growths? What are the
Yeah.
strides that we've made? Like that made me like, oh, what are mine? You know? And I think like I mean, this is a wall in my home, and you can see that I have absolutely no qualms about self-worth. But that actually has taken a lot of time to be like, oh, okay, like seeing myself through a different lens, a lens of purpose, really. Like that I'm who I am and who I am in this world is much bigger and very important in other people's lives and development too. And I think when I take myself, like this may sound a little bit, I don't know,
Say it.
like
Say it.
when I take my own thoughts about myself out of it, it changes the game for me. Like God has created me to do something special here on earth. And when I see that I've been like assigned or like these are my purposes because I've been gifted to do like it's really funny because different than both of you, I've never felt uncomfortable in a situation. You put me in front of anyone and anywhere and I will talk their ear off. I have no qualms about any sort of conversation or performing on stage. Like it is the weirdest thing. Give me a stage, let me have the mic. Like it is crazy because we're all just so very different, right? However, when it comes to a personal life, this girl has no game. And it's really interesting because this past year that's where I found the difference is that my personal self-worth matched up with my professional self-worth, where like I can see myself 360, like this is my self-worth and I have a lot to offer. And whether that be in my professional or my personal or my mom or whatever I happen to be wearing at the time, like I have a huge offering, and so does everybody in this life. And I think like if we looked at ourselves through the lens, like quite honestly, I despise the term I am enough because I think I'm way better than enough. Like
You're
like
worthy.
far
Worthy.
surpasses enough seems like, well, that seems meh. Like, you know, I'm way
Bare
more than
minimum.
just meh, you know, but we all are.
We
And
all
I
are.
think sometimes if we came at it at life in whole of being really fulfilled and we have purpose in what our giftings are, that we would just be in a better place.
It will truly change the world and how people view themselves. I mean, what is depression and anxiety? It's not no, it's depending on other people's validation. Okay. And you guys, this is really, really important that you learn this because like what Becky said so eloquently, you know, like, hey, like I'm the first to see this. I can only love myself. We're gonna lose people. Life is about change, you know, everything changes. COVID, you guys, there's AI is now in medicine treating cancer. I mean, if you guys are not watching the news, good luck. All right. So there's a lot of new things that are happening right now. But the great thing about us, people in general, is we have the ability to adapt to change. All right. Let's talk about that. I love that subject, Becky, because talking about you working in the clinical field, like PA, you transitioning into coaching, like what is that like for you? Walk us through that.
Yeah. That was such an interesting journey for me. I think, personally, I was going through some things at that point. So it made me shift and adjust and just become fully who I was made to be. So it was like, this is a perfect time for a reckoning for like me just to transform into this person that I know I was created to be, which was, I'm like, I want to own my business. Like I knew that I've had that dream for probably 12 or 13 years at that stage, like this stage now, but the last 3, I've seen it come to fruition, like full term, like knew exactly what I was placed here to do. So I think it is having the courage to step out and do something different, And then it is just having the courage to say, like, one step, just take one step outside of your comfort zone. It is not like these big giant steps. So for me, I was transitioning from full-time practice. My ex-husband and I had actually owned several businesses together. And so it had some familiarity with what business structure looked like. And then that we got divorced, and my next stage was like, I'm going to work full-time for somebody else, but I'm going to make it my terms, like aligned with the company. So I was a health coach for a period of time and then started my business on the side. I'm like, I knew where I was headed. I just didn't know how to get there quite like back then. But it was just one step. Like, it's just one step. Don't try to overcomplicate it and do all the things. Lori, I love how you mentioned, you're like, I have this tendency to try to do a lot of different things. And, it's the way our brains are wired, it's actually more effective to do the one thing. And then it just stacks and combines, right?
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's such a great answer, Becky. Thank you for that. And we're getting towards the very end, you guys. We have 10 minutes left. And I kind of like to give our guests a lot of time to talk about their business. So you kind of give us a little background of what you do. So tell us about your business. Like, what do you coach? Like, what kind of coach are you? And who do you coach? Who do you help?
Yeah. So the technical term, I guess, is leadership consultant or coach. So I work with organizations in healthcare, outside of healthcare. I would say the ones I'm most passionate about are the ones inside of healthcare, because I care deeply about patient outcomes and helping people thrive. And the disparities in medicine are the thing that drive me. So the reason I get out of bed every morning is I see healthcare practitioners who are burnt out. I see organizations that are just not, engaged. Like 23% Gallup, like the recent study said, 23% of the population is engaged at work right now. That's
Scary.
I mean, that seems unreal, right? It is scary. It is so scary. If you think about that in medicine, like, I don't think the statistics are the same in medicine, but think about if it were, right? So 23% of the nurses or the physicians are engaged. What does that do to patient outcomes? They plummet, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I think about it in those terms of burnout a couple of years ago, with like 70%, over 70% of clinicians being burnt out. Like, that's not okay. I'm not okay with any of that. So I would say that's the area that I'm most passionate about, is helping in that space restructure, get really innovative, creative on ways that we do the work environments in those organizations. One of my favorite practices that I work with is in Northeast Ohio, kind of mentioned earlier, but they just are they do things differently. They find needs for their patients. They're like, we're going to create a new job because that's what my patients need. And the CEO is like, hey, listen, we didn't have this, 2 years ago, but we need it now. We need to make sure that we're on top of the chronic care that our patients need. And he invests in all of his clinicians to go through leadership development. He's like, I want them to know, like, what interactions look like now. We have to be collaborative with our patients. We need to make sure that they have a voice and that they're heard. So those are the things I get really excited about, because I think medicine, the way it has been traditionally done, it's been almost forced upon us, of like, I'm, the clinician, what I say goes because I'm trained. And it doesn't fly anymore. It's not as effective, right? So we need to partner with our patients of like, what does your life look like? How can we help you? And also, patients really want preventative care. They don't want chronic disease management anymore. So the new paradigm is like, how do we actually take care of ourselves? Like, what's the most effective way for me to be healthy for as long as I can be? Because patients care about that. So
Definitely.
yeah,
That. No, that's great. No, that's great. No, I like that you mentioned, you wanna. So I like to say this in this terms. I said, hey, you guys, we want to send home our patients not like another walking disease state. We want to send them home and actually have a quality of life, right? And it goes back to really having that love and care that. And she's right, because I'm around these people 24/7, you guys. So I know exactly what she's talking about. All right. I feel like, and I have to call out certain customers because they've lost the passion. And I've always remind them, hey, why did you always wanted to be a surgeon? What made you want to be a surgeon? What was that? What was that why? And I've had discussions with surgeons during surgery of like, Gaida, I'm just not happy. I'm just not like them burnout. We talk about the B word, right? We don't like the B word. So it's always good to have that I know it's cliche, like the work-life balance, but it is true, you know. And sometimes maybe sales is not for you. Okay, it's not worth it. And sometimes maybe you need to transition into a different career, just like Becky's. Okay, Becky, tell us about your business even more. Like, how can they find you? Let's say if somebody's wanting to book an appointment with you, like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? Do they get a free call, and then
Oh,
what?
yeah. Yeah,
Talk
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So I do a lot of networking on LinkedIn. Love that platform. Super helpful and supportive. But you can find me on LinkedIn. Just DM me. Set up a free consultation just to chat, just so I can get to know you, and see if there's a potential for the ability to help. And if not, like I said earlier, I just love giving people resources for where they can get the help that they need.
So when
Or
so when they
yeah, go
sign
ahead.
up for your program, Becky, do they get like a digital copy as well as a workbook? Like, what does that look like?
Mhm. So I have a platform that I put people on. So I give them assignments based on the content that I have, and I walk them through a specific process based on where they're at in their growth and development. So if they're, experiencing, burnout, like it's something that I do coach people on. It is, a buzz term that I help people identify, and so I will coach them on that. And largely it's related to self-awareness. It is related to being aware, emotionally intelligent, getting, along with other people. Um, so it is just helping them recognize what they bring, some strengths, like you talked about earlier, Gaida, like what your strengths are, identifying what those are, but also identifying where your opportunities for growth are, how you can communicate and connect most effectively with those around you.
I love that, you guys. And you guys, I'm going to actually, Becky, can you just tell us right now what is your LinkedIn handle is so they can write it down?
Yeah, so I think it's just Becky Wolfe. So if you search me up, search up Becky Wolfe on LinkedIn, you should be able to find me.
And
Yeah,
Wolf
or
guys
Becky
with
Wolfe
a D.
Coaching.
Becky
Yep,
Wolf Coaching. Yeah, Wolf with an E, you
yep.
guys, which is even
Mhm.
cooler. I love that name. Becky Wolf. She has such a freaking brand name, Lori, don't you
I
think?
know, it's
Her name is like
awesome.
branded. You gotta brand that girl, brand that name.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there any last words, Becky, for listeners? Are there any last words, any motto, anything that you stand by, quote that you read every morning that our listeners can take from you today?
Oh gosh, I feel like there are a bunch of quotes that I really enjoy, but um, I think in this context, I think one of the parts of the discussion that we had earlier just really rings true of self-talk and being really clear, and being waking up every morning with a process. I love how you talked about that earlier, Gaida. Just have a process for yourself, like motivate yourself, be able to get up and figure out what you really want. Because number one, it's easier if you are, have, like Lori talked about, purpose and passion for what you do. And then wake up every day reminding yourself of what that is. Be clear in your self talk. And yeah, I think those are crucial key points to do every day.
I love that, you guys. And Lori, any last words for our listeners before we end this show?
First, Becky, thank you so much. I gained so much from your podcast. This has been amazing, from the energy that I bring, from communication to my first opening of like, hey, how can I help? Like, I love that because it really, you really show that you're in it for our customer or client as well. And then the energy that I bring with the communication, I think that that's key. Like it's so true. And like looking at ourselves in our own environment and how what contribution we're making to that environment, whether like when you're just talking about being burned out, like what am I contributing to my own burnout,
Yeah.
or why I might not be feeling fulfilled in my own capacity. So this has been super helpful. And I think we should give our listeners an assignment of reading. What was the book again? The 10x to 2x?
Yeah. 10x is easier than 2x.
Okay.
So,
That's the
write that
assignment.
down. That's the homework, you guys. Write it down.
Yeah.
You guys get so much free stuff from Gaida. You are welcome. Today is episode 32 of the Device Diaries. Becky, again, thank you so much for joining us. This episode
Yes.
comes
Thank you.
out next Monday. Okay, so pretty quickly, and Becky will get alerted on when it comes out. And I'm going to alert you guys because I really need you to listen to this episode. Today's episode 32 of the Device Diaries, which we titled Power in Partnership, Unlocking the True Potential of collaboration. Thank you, everyone. Know your self worth. Know who you are. I'm so proud of you all. You guys are doing so great. Allow yourself some grace. Have those prep in the morning that you do just for you, because at the end of the day, there's only one you. So you're gonna have to learn how to love yourself. All right, guys. I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye.